There's not too many shops like this, but when you find one, oh, it's a good day.
We're trying to restore it mostly to original specs. All of this stuff that you see that looks old, it is old.
Good morning, everyone. We are getting an early start here in Maryland because today we are going to a really cool vintage and classic car shop that has a couple of cars waiting for us, and I think it's going to be a really good time. So let's get in the car, get driving down there, and see what happens. Let's drive. Now, the shop that invited me to come check them out is a full-service vintage and classic car shop that works on some absolutely incredible cars. They said they have a really rare Ferrari and a super cool Jaguar for me to check out, along with one other car that will be in our next video, so I'm excited and let's check out what they have in store for us. And here we are. All right, so we're at Grand Touring Enterprises in Frederick, Maryland, and check out what is behind this door. Look at that. Got the Jaguar XKE, Alpha GT, 250 Europa. Just absolutely strung with some of the best cars in the world in here. There's not too many shops like this, but when you find one, oh, it's a good day. It's like a 250 Europa GT going through restoration. We'll take a look at this. There are only about 40 of these, I believe. 30 to 40 cars.
The fact that Prince Leopold that bought it didn't want to pay any taxes on it, so he had previously owned an earlier Ferrari.
Yeah.
So what he did was the following Ferraris that he purchased from Ferrari, he would have Ferrari take and re-stamp the numbers of the early car into the later cars, so he didn't have to pay the taxes on the car.
Really?
Yeah, so there's two other cars that have the same number as this stamped into them.
Oh my goodness. So
he didn't have to pay. He's a prince of this car. Yeah. It's hard to see. The frame rail and the engine have two numbers. No. You can look and you can see. And this doesn't look anything, the font on this stamping. And this is a really early car. So this is 0139. That would make it like a 52. This is a 55. It's kind of hard to see. If you look down here, it says 037 GT, and underneath it says 0139. Typically what you have to do is when you race a car in another country, you'd have to tell customs, hey, this is here temporarily, we're just racing it, we're bringing it back. Well, they would race it, change the numbers, and then sell it to somebody in that country. So lots of these cars got their numbers mixed up. We're trying to restore it mostly to original specs. So there's a bunch of components that have been replaced over time. So you can see the washer, they stick out like a sore thumb. This relay, the washer bag, the ignition coils. See how they're all shiny and new? They're also incorrect. But all of the rest of the stuff, the DVLux relay, that's like the high-low beam relay, and the fuse boxes, and this is the horn relay, the horns, this cooling fan, the brake reservoirs, all of the throttle linkage. All of this is all original. Everything on the engine, exhaust headers, horns, all of this stuff that you see that looks old, it is old. These are the original mufflers here. Yeah. And these original mufflers are shot. So there's a person that named David Cart that does a lot of Ferrari restoration. We had him make new mufflers for us. So you can see, they put patches here and here and here. But these are original from 1955. All the early cars had these Hyundai shocks. They're kind of hard to see here. You can see one right here. So it has a lever that comes off of that cylinder. It has like veins in that cylinder. So as the shock moves through its travel, the veins push the fluid back and forth through two passages, and that's what damps the shock's action.
Oh, then you've got full transmission taken out of that?
So that's how the transmission's actually installed.
Really?
Yeah.
Down from underneath?
No, so basically you pull the tunnel off, the passenger seat. The passenger seat's not bolted in right now. You pull the passenger seat out and the transmission goes and it's installed that way.
Through the door? Oh my goodness.
All the cars that leave here, they need to be able to drive, stop well, because you'll get people come in, it doesn't stop well, but that's just how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, these cars worked from the factory, maybe that's just how it was since that person owned it, but these cars need to perform. Like you said, this is a lesser known Ferrari, and so for me, learning the history about these cars, the similarities with other Ferraris of the same vintage, and the differences. And for me, a lot of it is more of just learning a lot of little details. I love the fact of learning about the exhaust hangers, the markings on the bolts, which bolts should have markings, which ones don't have markings. And so for me, I'm kind of fascinated by it.
So for working on a car like this, you really have to get down to the literal nuts and bolts to make sure everything's right. Because if this one had a Gavolino on it and this one didn't, you've got to make sure you have that right.
You have to know.
He was able, he did it. But the engine was hydro locked.
He didn't bend it wrong.
Now to me, this is a pretty good view. All right, we're starting up the Jaguar XKE. All right, so we have just pulled the 1963 Jaguar E-Type out of the shop, and we're taking a look around it, and just look at how well this silver paint looks in the sunlight. This is, of course, the Roadster with the 3.8 liter inline engine, and coming inside, right there, very light door and a small window to get in. For someone my size, around 6'2", about $180, maybe might be a tight fit. Put your right foot in first, you gotta kind of turn, go butt first, and then you yoga your left leg into the car. And a little difficult to get into at first, but actually for someone my size, once you're inside, it's a pretty good fit, I won't lie. Actually, a lot more headroom than on some of the Jaguars I've been in. Oh, this is very well done, my goodness. Sweet. Look at that. You drill that steering wheel. Then close the door. And even look at the wire wheels this car has, and you'll see on this one it actually has Willwood brakes on it. Of course, Jaguar was one of the first brands, if not the first, to feature disc brakes on race cars, and I believe road cars as well, because they had a partnership with Dunlop, who back in the 1950s actually developed disc brakes for use in road cars. So, very fitting that your E-Type has the best stopping power available. And just look at how well the body flows around this car. You've got the hood louvers. We'll open that up in a minute and take a look at the gorgeous engine in this car. But my God, Jaguar, you really knocked it out of the park with the E-Type. Perfect. And I don't know about you, but opening this engine bay just made my jaw drop. Look at how perfect this car looks. Look at this engine. Upgraded exhaust manifold, intakes, just an absolutely stunning engine bay. I've got to say, everything on this car just has kept surprising me, and it keeps looking better and better. So I honestly have to say I would love to pick one of these up one day, because ooh, this has to be fun to drive. Now, this E-Type is actually just sold. It was mechanically reconditioned by Grand Touring, and they did a fabulous job on it, but I'm happy that they brought it out for me to take a look at before it gets delivered to its new owner. I mean, and who wouldn't with looks like this? So that is a look around this absolutely spectacular Jaguar E-Type. Absolutely love being able to come to this shop and see some of these incredible cars. Thank you so much to Grand Touring, and thank you specifically to Catherine for inviting me out here. Everyone, has been a pleasure on such an absolutely beautiful day, and I can't wait to stop back again soon. And if you ever want to work at a place like this, they're actually hiring. So if you're mechanically minded and you have some either interest or experience with cars of this vintage or Ferraris or anything Italian, British race cars, hit them up. It could be a great place to work. You'll get to work on some of the most amazing cars in the world in a great spot that I couldn't recommend more. So check them out if you get the chance, and I'll see you next time.